get it. He's like one of the only kind of nice billionaires. Like, why are people going after him?
According to my friend, he's the biggest piece of shit in the world.
I don't think so.
No, I don't know about that.
He's
he's gone off the rails.
I'd be friends with Bill. I'd be friends with Bill right now.
Oh, hell yeah.
Isn't when
I'd be like, hey man, can I borrow like $50?
Isn't when he dies, he dies half, is it like half or 75% of his wealth goes to charity and his kids don't get any of it?
Yeah, his kids will be like taken care of, kind of.
Yeah.
But not, I think they'll still have to have jobs if they're old enough.
Well, I think it's, his kids get like $1 million a piece.
Fuck generational wealth.
So Adam, how have you been keeping yourself busy?
Cody, I watched all of this little series on Amazon Prime called Hellier.
Okay,
I watched all of it.
I've tried to get into it. Good, bad.
Listen, there is a lot of it that's good, okay? There is a lot of it that's good, and I like it, and I like that people believe it, and even a couple of it I was like, maybe I could get behind that. But the problem is the people.
Like they're Bigfoot-esque type people, like kind of crazy,
They are fine. They seem grounded. The main dude's fine, and they do the Indrid Cold, and they're going all over the place, and they're all over West Virginia, Kentucky, Cincinnati, Ohio, all those places, right?
Ooh.
And there is so much that they could just cut right out, and they say everything twice. And when somebody says something, like they're interviewing somebody about magical stuff, they will tell them the answer, and then it'll cut away to a talking head of Greg, the main guy, saying the exact same thing. And then she told us it was going to be a summoning circle. Like, it was like, yes, she just said that. I know, you don't have to repeat that. Overall, not a bad show, but there is a lot of wasted time. I said, if somebody wants to pay me, I'll fucking cut that thing up into a watchable 120 minutes.
It sounds like the Maggie Lent version of a documentary series.
I'll make a Maggie Lent version of that somehow.
I'm saying, remember how much she just keeps repeating the exact same thing over and over and over again?
Took a spongy cock in my mouth.
I'm gonna make sure next time we find a maybe more. I'm gonna proofread it. That's what I'm gonna do beforehand to make sure.
I thought that was great.
It was great, but maybe we can find one where it's a little more articulate of an author, maybe a little more, maybe they had an editor, maybe they quickly glanced over it a little bit.
Let's talk about our Patreon right away before we get into the episode.
Please
You can go to Bumblebutt. Yeah, I say that wrong every time. You can go to patreon.com/Bumblebutt podcast. We've gotten a huge influx of people since we released Bent Over by Bigfoot Part 2.
We have.
Can you, by the way, tell us who our newest Patreons are?
Yes, we have Jessica joining the cult or whatever we want to. What do we even call it?
Well, that would be ripping off Creep It Real, I imagine.
That is true. But we have Bowling for Satan.
Yeah.
Well, okay, what is someone who just like... Okay, we obviously have our Bowling for Satan club members.
Yeah.
If you're thinking of a bowling league, you have the all-star bowlers and then the bowlers right below them. What would that be? Maybe?
Like the feeder league?
Junior varsity.
Yeah. Junior varsity bowlers. There Perfect. We go. Anyway... We have Jessica. Thank you very much for joining our Patreon. And we have Jeanette. Thank you very much.
Yep, thank you.
We have Mandy Ward. Upped her pledge. My God.
What a psycho.
You're so generous.
Yeah, what a beast. Thank you very much,
Thank
Mandy.
you so much.
Huge shouts.
We're going to get some goddamn microphone stands soon.
Yeah, very
it's
soon.
Be so good.
Hopefully, I actually had to fill out our tax forms.
Really?
What?
Yes. So it was a little weird. I don't really even know what I'm doing, but I just put it under my name, and I'm like, I think when I do my personal taxes, I can just kind of fold that in there and see what happens.
Did we lose anything?
No, nice. You just have to file IRS paperwork.
Hell yeah.
That's
Hell
it.
Yeah.
So we've made it.
We do have to become an LLC pretty soon.
Put that in an LLC.
That was an option. But I'm like, we technically don't have one yet. I don't know what I'm doing. Maybe we need a tax man. Maybe we need a tax man.
This is great. Stumbling blindly is the first step to perfecting something.
Exactly.
Maybe we'll be all arrested for tax evasion.
I'd prefer it. I bet we would get some boosts in our downloads if we had some street cred. If we had an arrest to our name.
That means I should have probably put it under Jordan's name.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely.
Send me to the Oak Park Heights maximum security. I wouldn't last an hour.
Oh, okay. I'm going to tell you, Adam. Did you see my little post for you, Jordan?
Yes.
Okay. So that movie is on Amazon Prime called The Wailing. I would highly recommend Adam.
Okay.
The Wailing.
The Wailing. Korean film.
All right.
Excellent.
I'm on it.
Bianca and I watched it today. Apparently she found out that's Ari Aster's favorite horror movie.
Really?
Apparently, yeah.
Our boy Ari.
Yeah, I love him. I'm not going to listen to him talk. But
Ari's
I
the
love
man.
him.
I was just saying today I'm going to rewatch Hereditary like tomorrow.
So good. I absolutely love it. My God, so good. But
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Bubble Butt Podcast, the only podcast on the internet that uploads weekly, even when neither of the hosts bring an episode.
we're prepared this week, I promise.
I did listen to that, and it was fantastic.
This week we're solid. Everybody's on board. My name is Adam. Sitting across from me, as ever, is Jordan. Hello, Jordan.
Hello, Adam.
How is the new spot?
Oh, it is a fucking dream.
Jordan's having fun in his new apartment,
Oh, yes.
awaiting his new baby.
Yep, not getting sirens flying by every 20 minutes.
That's
and
nice, yeah.
Neighbors playing COD or watching horror movies or something till 3 in the morning, and it's coming through the floorboards.
Gross. You could hear it through the floors?
Oh, it was insane. We could hear them talking on their phone.
At my apartment, I hear nothing.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know.
We're nice and quiet.
Yeah.
We don't hear a goddamn thing,
That's
and
beautiful.
I love it. And we have a working stove and everything now, so
You got
Now-
a gas range?
it is electric.
That
But
sucks. But hey, any port
it
in a
gets
storm,
the job done.
you can cook noodles now.
Yes.
Now, how much closer are you compared to Minneapolis?
I think I'm like 3 miles closer.
Okay.
I was going to say it's pretty equidistant.
Yeah.
He just basically moved from here to here.
Yeah.
The podcast couldn't see that, but
Yeah.
He drew his finger in the air.
if we're here, he was here, now he's here.
Yes, basically.
I
And
figured maybe the traffic wouldn't be as bad or something.
well, I mean, there's not really traffic right now, but no. And one thing I love is not having to drive 15 minutes to go get groceries or anything.
yeah.
And,
High V, and soon as D Spot's selling, you'll be able to get
they
some
are
more.
selling.
Well, there you
My
go.
last Saturday while we were moving, my brother ordered us D Spot.
Beautiful.
Oh God, it's so good.
Beautiful.
Jerkalo, baby.
I could work
That's
for
you.
some Jerkalo.
Is that what you recommend, Jerkalo?
That's my favorite.
Sounds
at D
pretty good.
Spot.
It sounds like Juggalo almost.
Well,
Sounds even better.
I mean, it's pretty obvious, but
Did
yeah,
you hit
no,
him with
just
a hatchet?
tossed in jerk sauce, and then they like drizzle buffalo sauce on it.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm
All
into it.
They got one. It's like my second favorite. I think it's the kamikaze. It's like
It's kind of racist.
Yeah.
soy.
Yes, it is.
It's like soy sauce based with like Thai chilies, horseradish, and like roasted garlic. Whew.
I'll mess with that. I can mess with that. The horseradish gives a
good.
wasabi flavor, I imagine.
Yeah, it is just insanely good.
You know, real
and they're
Real quick.
They're big fat wings too.
that Wailing movie. I don't know if this is a common thing in Korea, but they had like a 5-gallon drum of soy sauce outside of their house.
The man who wishes he had a 5-gallon drum of soy sauce in front of his house is Cody. Hello, Cody.
Hello.
So, if that's true, then that's the society I'm looking for.
I mean, it's smart to buy in bulk, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
do they use that much soy sauce?
It's in everything they
I mean,
use,
it
right?
sounds
I
like a
guess.
nightmare for your heart.
Is that their salt? Is that what they use for salt?
I think it is.
Look, I'm gonna let you in on a little secret. If you're gonna make a good marinade, don't use salt, use soy sauce. It
Sure.
works
Yeah. Sure.
fantastic.
Makes sense.
But yeah, there's two. Actually, I was thinking this while I was watching it, and I wanted to ask you because you seem to enjoy Asian cultures. What is it with Asian people fishing in movies? Why are their fishing poles so long?
I
Yeah.
don't know. I don't know.
First
don't know.
scene of the movie, he's got like a 15-foot fucking fishing pole, and I don't know why.
It's every one of their cultures. It's like, what are you doing? Are we playing
I
javelin or are we
know.
fishing?
Maybe it is like increased sensitivity, so you can tell when you're getting a bite.
Maybe.
Do they have monster fish there? Like, what?
Well, it
I
is
don't
the
know.
ocean. They are fishing off the ocean.
I have watched River Monsters or whatever, and they do have some gigantic fish there.
Isn't that like an old ass Australian guy who's like the host?
He's British.
Oh,
He's like,
British.
boy, I'm
okay.
from Australia.
Well,
They did an episode in Minnesota.
did they? What was the monster here?
Peppy.
Like,
It was
yeah.
Well, it was up in Brainerd. It was a sturgeon.
Oh, yeah. They can look scary.
My brother Nate just caught his first one like 2 weeks ago.
Congrats, Nate.
Did you eat the eggs?
No, because
Caviar.
yeah, I know. No, he catched and released it.
Oh, okay. That's good, too.
Although I
Yeah.
have heard like the actual meat of sturgeons is delicious.
I don't know about a fish that's a scavenger and is like 90 years old. I think
dinosaur
I'm fine.
fish? I don't
Yeah,
know.
I'm fine. I'm fine.
I mean, lake fish in general are pretty, like, the idea of eating them's pretty gnarly, but I'll do it anyway. Because I like
sheephead?
walleye. I love walleye.
Sheephead?
I love walleye. I love sunny, perch,
Oh, yeah.
all that.
Yeah, panfish,
sign me
definitely.
right the fuck up.
All right. Well, you're in charge of the bumblebutt fish dinner then, George.
Fish fry,
All right.
bumblebutt fish fry. All right, Cody, let's get into this
Let's
before
do
we
it.
get angry messages.
Yes, let's do it. Well, I guess I have my own built-in intro, so I'll just jump into it here. Over the next few weeks, we are about to dive into another big boy,
Big boy.
not only in infamy, but also in overall circumference.
Yeah, he's a tubby fuck, isn't he?
Yes,
Oh, what
he
you
is.
say there, big boy?
I bet him and Dan probably share the same body type.
Same
to be
body
honest
type.
with
Real
you.
quick, is Dan still alive?
Oh, yes,
Is
he
he
is.
working?
You know what he told me his dream is? So he plans on within the next few years he's going to move into a rest home.
Okay, that's
That's
good.
boy.
He's only in his 50s, so
I mean, they're 55 plus.
Yeah.
he said
As
that's
long
his
as
plan, I
As
guess.
long as you can get the senior discount at Perkins, you can move into a restaurant.
Oh, yeah.
It kind of sounded like that's his plan. I don't know if they're going to let you smoke whatever diamond menthols or
Ugh.
whatever the fuck he smokes.
Ugh.
I don't know.
In his he does half cigarettes.
The
too.
like pyramid 120s.
Pyramid, that's
Pyramid
what he
120s,
smokes,
yeah.
yeah. Well, good luck
Hey,
to you,
they're
Dan.
they're whopping like $6.50 a pack.
Now, he shares quite a few similarities with the last big boy we covered, that being, of course, Ed Kemper. But interestingly, his murder spree took place about 2 to 3 years earlier than Ed's, located directly north of California in the hipster capital of the world, Oregon. I know.
Hipsters and psychos, yeah. Hipsters
Yeah.
and psycho wood people.
Well, okay, I was gonna say I don't know how they are in like the overall serial killer, whatever. What would you call it? Geolocation?
Yeah, I guess.
He's
Geomap.
like one. He's like the only one I can remember from Oregon. I'm sure there's more.
He's definitely like when you pull up serial killers by
Yeah.
location, he's
Yeah.
the one that pops up for Oregon.
Yeah, it's a lot of them during this time was California.
Definitely.
You know who? After I wrote the Ed Kemper thing, I was thinking in my head, he's probably, once we get into this, he's probably more like Charles Ng and Leonard Lake, who we have not covered yet. But
You know what I bring to friendship?
yes,
Oh, I
you know how
love
they
that
want to like
series.
capture people.
Yeah.
That's more this
The
guy
torture,
here.
capture.
Yes.
Force them to love you, maybe, because
Right.
that wasn't that part of Leonard Lake and Charles.
They wanted like a completely submissive woman named Miranda and all this.
And then
crazy shit.
eventually they'll love me if I take away all their other options.
So cringy. Anyway, this particular psychopath you wouldn't find at the local breweries waxing his beard or bragging about some shitty band he saw on a random Tuesday night in June.
All right, well, I'm feeling pretty attacked right
Yes,
now.
You should. That's the point.
Because when I did have my beard, that motherfucker got waxed, and I would sit at the breweries talking about shitty bands I saw.
Weird, almost as if Cody wrote it.
Yeah, exactly. You'd probably find him sitting at home jacking off into stilettos.
I still feel attacked.
You do that?
No.
Are you a foot guy?
I am not.
You're not a foot guy, okay. This individual would be given such nicknames as the Lust Killer or the Shoe Fetish Slayer, but this man's real name was, of course, Jerry Brudos.
Jerry the Tubster Brudos.
I'll say this. The actor who played him in Mindhunter, fantastic.
He was great.
He is great.
I love when he takes the shoe and just goes in the corner and jerks off into it.
I mean, we're going to find out that's what he did.
Oh, God.
Yeah. The other thing is I want to shout out, the book I read was The Lust Killer by Anne Rule, which I mentioned last week. The Ted Bundy coworker. She's a fucking amazing writer. So good.
Also, what was it? The Devil Beside Me or something like that?
Stranger Beside Me. That's the Ted Bundy one.
And that just came up. They talked about that on Hellier.
Oh,
So,
did they?
Synchronicities, man.
Okay, all right.
Mandela effect.
That's right.
That book, dude, okay, so this book's like 300 pages, pretty typical. I think The Stranger Beside Me is like 650.
Jesus.
Ooh, that's a beast. We'll have to get into it one day, but not today. Anyway.
Not this day.
Jerome Henry Brudos was born in Webster, South Dakota on January 31st, 1939 to Eileen Brudos and Henry Brudos.
Couple of fucking... That's
It's about
definitely some South Dakota names.
Oh, yeah.
Eileen and Henry.
It's an interesting spelling of Eileen, too.
That's how I would spell it.
You
Yeah,
think so?
that's the standard spelling of Eileen.
You think? Okay,
That's how
so,
you spell
so you're
come
saying
on, Eileen.
Eileen Warnos
Aileen Wuornos is different, yeah.
Okay, well, you don't see this name too often. I've only known one in my entire life.
Yeah, I mean, 1939, maybe things are different. A lot more Eileens running around.
Yeah.
No, Eileen was known to be a very strong, unemotional, domineering, and apathetic woman who, as we will find out shortly, wasn't particularly fond of her son, Jerry. Henry Brudos was a small man coming in at 5'4"
Oof.
which is weird because Jerry would end up being over 6 foot tall, and I believe in his prime about 300 pounds.
Yeah.
Maybe like 250.
Yeah.
Big.
His
big
dad
boy.
Henry must be barrel chested. Like he must be
He's
a
just thick in the
rotund
middle.
man. Yeah.
He's from South Dakota. I mean, isn't that common?
Yeah.
Farm
He's
man.
got that corn-fed build.
But Henry was definitely a hard worker. Henry usually would operate the family farm they were living on at the moment, as well as having a full-time job in the town.
Ooh,
That's insane.
That's what we call a work ethic there, boys.
That's 60 hours a week on your farm if you're lucky, plus a 40-hour-a-week job.
Too
Yeah.
much. I don't want no part of that.
I don't want to ever farm a day in my life. Thank
See,
you, farmers.
I'd like to have a little hobby farm.
Farm's different, I
Well, I
assume.
mean, to raise some cattle that, I can send to the slaughterhouse and, have a little bit of a field for a garden.
you gotta show them at like a 4-H fair.
Yeah.
That's a Jordan activity.
That's my hometown.
Gotta 4-H it.
Now, I say living on at the moment because for some reason the Brudoses were moving from place to place constantly. While not sharing the same height as his father, one thing he certainly did share with Henry was his severe temper. Henry Brudos was known to be easily offended and would quickly become hostile if he believed someone was taking advantage of him.
My
Yeah,
gosh.
typical little man syndrome.
I was just gonna say, little man syndrome there, 5'4".
One of our Patreon's brothers is
Okay.
is this to
Is
a T.
him.
Oh my gosh! Just
Oh.
can't go on with a bit. And if he does something nice for you, if you don't thank him, he'll fucking be furious.
Okay, how long have you known this said person?
29 years.
Okay, look, after you give them like a 6 month to a year grace period, if they don't understand the humor of the group, I don't know, it might be hopeless
Yeah.
at that
That's
point.
it. That's it. If it wasn't family, I'm sure it would be.
Now, the Brudoses had a son prior to Jerry named Larry.
Hell yeah. Jerry Larry.
That's like Michael and Pikel from Rick and Morty.
This is just, I don't know. I guess it was a different time. That's just mean.
Jerry and what a dick.
Man, I feel
Technically, it's Larry and Jerome.
Yeah,
Technically.
come on.
But
I'm sure his name was Larome or something.
but that's the kind of
Lawrence.
shit that I think they did, like, back then and even, like, our grandparents' generation.
It's creepy.
Because on my dad's side, him and all of my aunts and uncles, their names start with J.
Okay.
And so did my grandpa Fox's.
That's not as bad, but when you're rhyming your kids' names, don't do it.
It's no good.
No, please don't do it. While I can't find an exact age difference between Larry and Jerry, it seems to be approximately about 3 years. I've noticed something. The Brudoses don't want anything to do with Jerry after he gets arrested. So it's like their whole family record's been wiped out. So,
Dear Larry, I miss you. Son Jerry.
maybe this is what's his name? Larry. Who's the comedian on HBO?
Larry David.
Was it Larry David?
Yeah.
No.
Curb Your Enthusiasm?
Maybe I'm thinking of somebody else. For some reason I was thinking of Dennis Miller. I don't know why. I was like, maybe this is Dennis Miller.
Very different.
Maybe this is Dennis Miller's
different.
secret life. I don't know how he got
His secret life is he's Larry Brudos.
Anyway. Now Larry would always be considered to be the favorite.
All right.
He was intelligent, calm, and almost never got into any trouble.
Hell yeah.
Probably not good looking because Jerome was also not good looking.
Probably.
Well, you never know.
Henry's probably not good looking either. Anyway, one of the main reasons believed that Eileen was so rotten and mean to Jerry was because they would have much preferred him to have been a girl.
Sure.
Instead, they had received a red-haired, blue-eyed baby boy.
Ginger.
That sounds like Ed Gein, too.
Ed Gein, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and his mom was a psycho, mean, apathetic jerk.
Eileen is very mean. Very mean. Now, around the time Jerry had reached the age of 5, the Brudoses had decided to pack up and moved to Portland, Oregon. Now, because this was during World War II, apparently finding a job was quite easy for them, so their family was far from struggling financially. Now, while in Portland, Jerry's parents had apparently just allowed him to roam around freely. Mind you, he's literally 5 fucking years old. And
all the psycho killers are off fighting the Germans, right? They all got drafted.
you know what?
Interesting.
Are all the pedos gone? I guess. I don't know. And Jerry just so happened to wander into a junkyard and stumble upon something that just absolutely captivated him.
A corpse.
A pair of woman's high heels.
Oh.
Something he hadn't seen before because, as Jerry would later say, his mother, being a very traditional woman, wouldn't be caught dead wearing high heels.
Sure. She's flats only for the Lord.
He doesn't mention religion at all, but I have a feeling that's what they are.
Yeah.
She's very conservative. Now, these particular junkyard heels were constructed of shiny patent leather with open toes, open heels, and thin straps to encircle the heels.
Oh, my.
They sound sexy, right?
Yeah, that sounds pretty baller. I'd come in them.
Sure. They were a little worn out, and one of the rhinestone-studded decorative clips was missing, but Jerry wasn't about to leave these beauties in the junkyard for someone else to claim.
These are my junkyard heels.
Every time I now refer to anything as a junkyard something, all I can think about is that episode of It's Always Sunny in
junkyard
Philadelphia.
cat.
Yeah. I call my cat a junkyard cat. And they're like, that cat's way too clean to be a junkyard cat, dude. So Jerry snatched him up and brought him home. Jerry, being naturally fascinated with the shoes, would put them on and prance around his house.
I'm a fancy little boy.
Jordan, I gotta ask, have you ever done this?
I tried them on.
Yeah.
Did you? Okay. Did
Who
you
hasn't?
prance around your house?
No.
Well, no, because I could barely walk in them.
Yeah, I couldn't
actually
even
don't
stand up.
I actually don't think my mother actually owned any.
Your mother's Eileen. You're
I-
Jerry.
I could see her reason being because
Shayna's Larry.
she has an uneven hip and she can't walk in them. That's what I would assume.
That wouldn't
but-
be. Yeah, that's not going to be good for the gait.
No.
When you're trying to walk on stilettos when you already got a bum hip.
Now, at least he was doing this until his mother Eileen stumbled upon him in his brand new high heels. Eileen was outraged at Jerry. She yelled at him and scolded him, making sure to reinforce, just how wicked of a boy he was.
Oh,
Eileen demanded that Jerry return those shoes to the junkyard and never, ever do something like that again. Now, according to Jerry, he just couldn't understand why his mother was so upset about this. The shoes were clearly at the dump and nobody wanted them, right? While he told his mother, while he was told to get rid of the shoes, Jerry decided to just hide them instead. But eventually, Eileen caught him for a second time parading around in his beloved heels.
Not good.
This time, though, Eileen burned the shoes and forced Jerry to stay in his room for a very long time.
It's not good when your boner is connected to your mom calling you wicked.
No,
that is not a good thing.
That's real bad.
Here's the thing. We're going to learn about it in a moment here, but, like, he's 5 years old.
Yep.
Like, how much
it's probably not even sexual.
Yeah, I was going to say.
He's just like, I'm a pretty girl prancing around. That's what I did in my mom's heels when I was that age.
Can you get a boner at 5?
I don't know. If you can, it's an ineffective nuisance. You don't know what it's for or why it's there, but it's annoying.
Like, I feel like when I was 5 years old, I saw the NES for the first time, and, like, that was my high heels, apparently, I guess. So
that's what made you get your rocks.
Can you imagine? I was playing...
Did your mom call you a wicked boy
No,
for playing
I was going to
Mario?
say, I'm playing Mario or something, and she comes in, you wicked son of a bitch, turn that off. And she just lights it on fire in front of me. I think I'd be fucked up. I think I would be fucked up.
Yeah, it was 1944. They didn't have Nintendo. This was his Nintendo.
Yeah. They're just letting him wander around. Of course he's going to pick up trash. Yeah. It's just how it is. Now, apparently after Jerry was released from the confines of his room, he ran to the nearby neighbor woman who he saw as very pretty, soft, and unlike his mother, was actually nice to him. Jerry liked to pretend this woman was actually his real mother. Unfortunately, this kind neighbor woman also suffered from diabetes and appeared to succumb to her illness when Jerry was still a very, very young child.
So he had the same emotional reaction to losing a parent then.
Yeah,
he looked at her as a parent.
We don't know her name or anything, but he was so connected to her because she was nice and his mother was not nice. Now, why this is important is because around the exact same time, Jerry had a young female friend who was also about 5 years old, whom he would play with. What Jerry didn't realize at the time was she was dying from tuberculosis.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah. With the deaths of these two important figures, apparently it caused an insane amount of grief within him for a very, very long time, which makes sense.
Yeah, you're going to shut down.
Now, I was wondering, if you have TB, you can't be around other people, right?
No.
Yeah, because it's spread by, like, breathing.
Yeah, but I was like, are they just letting him play? No questions asked with a girl? Maybe they didn't know.
Yeah.
She might have had an N95 mask.
In 1940 something? I don't know. 44?
Maybe it was quick. Maybe it came on quick.
I don't know. The book really goes into detail about like how pale her skin was and everything. Ugh. So terrible disease. I'm glad we don't have to worry about that horse shit anymore.
It's pretty much taken care of. Yeah.
Now, around the time Jerry would be entering the first grade, his family once again had packed up and moved to Riverton, California. According to Jerry, his first grade teacher was a very pretty young lady.
Later.
I get tongue-tied them.
I mean, yeah, she was probably a very pretty young later.
Who, of course, wore those intoxicating high heels.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, my first grade teacher, I can remember her now. She was an absolute bitch.
Really?
And I don't think she would be caught dead wearing high heels.
Well, wasn't she a nun?
Okay, I had none in second grade and fifth grade.
Oh.
So
the rest were civilians?
The rest were normies.
Wow.
Who were probably more psycho than the nuns.
Probably. Do
you remember any of your young teachers wearing high heels?
I do.
Okay.
My first grade teacher was young. Like 24 or something.
Oh,
my mom ended up doing daycare for her for a long time.
Hell yeah. All right. How about you, Jordan?
Well,
Or were you drunk the whole time?
No, they were mainly like middle-aged or older women at our school.
You were did you go to Luther school all through then?
No.
Okay.
I didn't go to private or like Lutheran school until 8th grade, so.
Okay, so we've had reverse lives,
Yeah.
apparently.
No, my first grade teacher, she was probably like 55 at the time, and just a kind old woman. I believe it was Mrs. Mountain.
Well, thank you, Miss Mountain. I know you're
Appreciate
listening. Anyway, now, she always kept 2 pairs on hand of high heels to switch if her feet got tired, or apparently if she had an important date afterward. This, of course, captivated young Jerry. He would sit and just stare at his teacher's succulent feet.
You couldn't use another word?
Nope.
Or just say stare at his teacher's feet?
Nope. We are entering the world of Jerry Brudos, and we need to feel what he is feeling.
All right. I'm in. Okay.
Succulent like some baby back ribs.
You suck the meat out of a crab leg. He wants to suck the meat out of her feet here.
I could go for some crab legs.
His fascination would finally reach a boiling point, and Jerry decided he just had to have those fucking shoes. So he would steal a pair of her high heels and stash them away under some blocks in the play area, intending to take them home after school. But of course, some little brown noser found the shoes, turned them back into the teacher.
Mrs. Berner, I found your shoes in the block.
Little shit. For some reason, a few days later, Jerry decided to just confess to his thievery.
What a dipshit.
Now, his teacher wasn't mad. She was just more confused. She asked Jerry.
Why on earth would you want my shoes, Jerome?
Jerry didn't take this very well. He turned red as a tomato and just ran out of the room. That's his thing. He turns red, runs out of the room.
Yeah.
When Jerry reached the 2nd grade, things weren't getting much better for him. He would end up failing the 2nd grade, and the reason for that seems to be because he was sick constantly. Firstly, he had contracted measles and had frequent sore throats accompanied by swollen glands and laryngitis.
Sounds like he needs his tonsils out.
That's what it sounds like to me. Did they not know this at this time period?
I don't know. I know
I
they
don't really
did.
know.
Were they still using ether at the time to knock people out?
God, I hope
Probably.
so.
Apparently, it sounds like a swarm of bees is coming into your head, and then you wake up later.
Ooh,
That's what it's like to get high on ether.
I learned about it from that documentary.
Fear and Loathing.
Yeah,
in
Fear and
Las
Loathing in Las Vegas. Secondly, he would have several toe and finger operations to treat fungus infections around his nails.
Wow.
Ugh, gross. Thirdly, he would have to have 2 operations on his legs because his veins were ballooning and not functioning properly.
What?
Second grade.
What kind of fucked up genes does his family have?
Seriously.
I don't know.
Seriously, that's fucking strange.
That's not varicose veins, right?
I don't think
I
those
don't
are.
know.
I don't think those are.
varicose veins are just like they're dark and you can see them.
Yeah, I think that's just a cosmetic thing. I don't think
Yeah.
that's like a health problem.
From what I was getting is like they were expanding but they weren't pumping blood like they should have. So maybe they
Weird.
removed them, put them back in there. I don't know.
That's fucked up.
The fourth problem Jerry had is something that will end up haunting him his entire life: migraine headaches.
Oh God.
Oof. Even at such a young age, they would get so bad it would cause him to vomit and sometimes even blinded him due to the pain. Now, the school believed because Jerry could not seem to comprehend the basics of reading and writing on top of the headaches, he probably just needed glasses.
Right.
Honestly, I got glasses in 2nd grade.
Did you?
I did,
That's
absolutely.
probably around when I got them too.
You know those little projectors? I kept asking the teacher if I could sit closer because I couldn't see, and then she called. She's like, "Hey, I think your kid needs glasses."
Oh, wow.
So,
Wow.
yeah, that was a good teacher. Thank you
Yeah.
very much.
Man, I miss those projectors. I had a teacher once that thought if you put the sheet over it, it would make it transparent underneath. And that was a funny day when we all roasted the hell out of her. She put up a regular piece of paper and just put a clear sheet over it. And it was like, why isn't this working?
So he obviously would be prescribed glasses, but They didn't seem to do anything because he didn't actually need glasses. Jerry had an average IQ, but just seemed to be perhaps a little slow and perhaps just completely uninterested.
Yeah.
Now, I mentioned earlier that Jerry had an older brother named Larry, and after this particular series of events, it seemed to really shine a light on the favoritism Larry received, which created a bit of jealousy towards Larry.
Could see it.
During the school incident, apparently they just couldn't understand how it was possible that Jerry wasn't doing well with his studies when his brother Larry had went through school with straight A's.
That's a ridiculous trap to fall in.
This seems like 50s education.
I'll tell you
I was
why,
gonna say
because
this.
we're different people, even though our names are Larry and Jerry.
They're like, Larry's so fucking smart. Why are you so stupid, Jerry? So I guess apparently that's how it is. Anyway. And of course, Eileen always treated Larry better than Jerry. If Larry decided to just not do the chores assigned to him, Eileen would let him skip them, claiming that Larry was exceptional. He was gifted, and he needed that time to study. He couldn't be bothered with those fucking chores.
Oh, yeah. His brain's way too powerful to be weighed down by doing the dishes.
Exactly.
There's one part we're going to get here with Larry. I can't wait till we get there. You guys are
I'm
going
excited.
to love it.
I'm stoked.
But if Jerry tried to do the same thing, he would be fucking scolded. In fact, he would be scolded and yelled at for even the most minor of things. Larry and Jerry's father both knew that Eileen had it out for Jerry, but they themselves seemed to be afraid of Eileen and wouldn't dare interfere. And on top of that, Jerry's father worked so much that he was rarely around anyway. So,
Listen, this is mothers, though. That's what mothers do. They
50s
scare
mothers?
all mothers. They scare everyone into not wanting to go against them. It's how mothers work.
I had a nice mother.
As we go towards Mother's Day, remember, mothers love fear.
What do you want
I
to
don't
send a
think
box?
my mom does.
Send a box of a picture of you afraid? Is that what you want? A nice
Do
portrait
it.
of you terrified of her?
You and your family being spooked as hell.
Yeah, everybody remember the day this comes out, I think is Mother's Day or is
Yes.
it Monday?
Sure is.
No, it's
Sunday.
Sunday. It's always
So,
on a Sunday.
Hey, look. You and your mother sit down, have a nice takeout dinner,
yes.
and listen to this goddamn
Skype each other.
episode.
Skype each other.
And listen to this show.
But don't see your mother.
Now, whether it was this series of events or some other reason, Jerry's behavior would take a turn for the worse. The night in question, the Brudoses had invited over some friends who just so happened to have a teenage daughter they brought with them. Said teenage daughter just so happened to be wearing high heels, which immediately got Jerry's attention.
Sure.
Now, the teenage girl decided that she wanted to take a nap, and they told her, sure, go ahead. In fact, why don't you go ahead and use Jerry's bed?
Well, they just kicked him out of his own room?
Yep. Take Jerry's bed. Don't worry about it. I'm just wondering, is it normal for a teenage girl to wear high heels?
I don't know.
At like a friend event? I don't know.
I
don't know. I don't know. Let us know, please.
Please.
With Jerry being so obsessed with those high heels, he would creep into his room where she was sleeping. When he gazed upon the bed, he noticed that one of the girl's heels was poking through the loose weave in the blanket.
Why was she still wearing?
Apparently she passed out with her shoes on. I don't know. Which apparently was extremely erotic to Jerry. Unable to control himself, he tried to remove the shoes as she slept. But of course, she woke up and took notice of what he was doing, screamed, and demanded to get the fuck out of the room.
Sure.
Natural. I don't know why you would pass out in high heels. That
No.
seems uncomfortable.
Take him off.
And how dare she yell at him to get out of the room? It's his room.
And she's putting her fucking shoes all over his bed.
Go nap on the fucking couch like a regular person.
Jordan, can you imagine? You see the tip of the high heel going through a blanket and you just like almost come.
Could you imagine?
I cannot.
Could you imagine that?
I can't imagine that. I'm sorry.
Anyway, now what is really interesting about this event and other events involving shoes and his sexual urges was they had all taken place well before Jerry had reached the age of puberty. On top of that, talking about sex was a forbidden topic in the Brudos' home. Hell, even showing any sign of affection was a rare occurrence.
That's
So like when his dad gets home, do him and his mom just like shake hands?
I'm guessing they had sex twice to have the kids, and that was it.
yeah.
I don't know. They said no kissing, no hugging, no touching each other, nothing.
No hand holding,
Nothing.
pats on the back,
Nothing.
unless it's fucking Larry.
All right, you guys are going to roast me here. But of course, being a farm-raised boy, he certainly had observed the animals having sex.
Oh, well, I can't do it now that you called it out. You diffused
The
it.
second I was reading this, I'm like, oh my God, this is me here.
Yes.
Although he claimed he never understood how humans engaged in intercourse. He knew how animals do it, but he could never understand how humans do it. Interesting. When the young boys at school would make sexual jokes, which included one particular gut splitter involving a girl sliding down a banister, Jerry would just stand there dumbfounded and couldn't understand the punchline. I actually included the joke here. Do you guys know this joke?
Go for it.
Okay. Man calls home before leaving his office, asks his wife to slide down the banister. Here's the punchline. To get his dinner warmed up. Yeah, boy, get it done. I don't know if those kids were that clever, but whatever.
That's pretty good.
Why this is important is as a young man, Jerry could never make the connection between the high heels and his own sexual desires, and could never understand why his mother got mad at him for taking the shoes from the dump, why his teacher was puzzled that he took her shoes, and why the teenage girl got mad at him for trying to take her high heels.
Of
It
course.
was all a big mix-em-up in his fucking head.
All of them were different concepts, and he didn't get that they were actually all the same because his fucking psycho mother refused to tell him about sex or bring it up at all.
We're gonna learn his sex education seems to start at about 20 plus years old.
Jesus.
Not great.
That's healthy.
And with most burgeoning serial killers, his negative behavior continued to intensify. Now, I am not sure the exact age, but it appears not too long after the last incident. The family once again had packed up and this time moved to Grants Pass, Oregon.
So just up and down the West Coast.
Yeah.
Just
all-
taking the
that's-
PCH.
That's
I was gonna say,
literally
just
all
cruising
they
the
do.
PCH, bruh.
I don't know why. I really don't know why,
Because
but
North
that's
Dakota,
what they do.
South Dakota sucks. So they were just like, fuck it.
Hmm.
We're going to go on the West Coast forever, bro. Summer of Love,
But-
1953, bro.
But you think like moving all the time would be annoying. I don't know.
Well,
I don't know.
yeah.
Think about of mice and men times. Those
Hmm.
people were roving laborers. They would just walk from farm to farm, work and work. Maybe this
His
is a
dad's?
hangover of that time.
Okay, it could be. Anyway, now at their new house in Grants Pass, Jerry's new neighbors just so happened to be a house full of daughters.
God damn it. This is a powder keg for this
Oh
miscreant.
yes, this gets creepier. Hold on. Now apparently, Jerry and one of the neighbor girl's brothers would sneak into his sister's bedroom and start playing with the girl's clothing.
Yeah, that's kind of weird.
Cody did it to Shayna. We all know it.
Look, I said this. While this is fairly innocent in terms of activities young boys do, why this is important is Jerry would start to extend his sexual fetishes from just high heels to brassieres, panties, girdles, and garter straps.
So he likes lingerie.
Right. Jerry said he enjoyed the feeling of soft clothing.
It does feel amazing.
You
He
can buy
loves it.
soft clothing as a man.
But girls' stuff is forbidden.
Hold on. In 1950, you can buy comfortable clothing
Yeah, they
for
probably
men.
had fucking silk.
Nah,
I don't
know.
think they had MeUndies,
Well, no.
which I'm wearing right
Wait,
now.
do you,
So
you
am
have
I.
MeUndies?
I'm wearing them right now.
Yeah,
Are
so
they comfortable?
They're the
yeah,
best.
they're the best. I have them on too.
I wish they would sponsor us. They give us free ones.
I
I
should try
I would
'em.
love some free MeUndies.
I want a Bumblebutt flavored MeUndie. That's
I
what
always,
I want.
I always seem to like tear my underwear. So are they like good,
Strong.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
They're made out of micromodal, which is 3 times softer than cotton.
I feel like
I've
you've heard this
finally-
commercial way too many times.
I blew out my first pair of MeUndies like a month ago, and I've had them since basically when I started at Walzer.
That's
So-
a good. That's a good run.
That's a good pair of underwear. Anyway, When Jerry was around the age of 13, the family again packed up and moved to the town of Wallace Pond, Oregon, located near Salem.
Ooh.
Now, while here, the golden child himself, Larry, was around the age of 16, and with being a pubescent boy, began to get his own interest in girls. Ooh. He started to collect 1950s pinup pictures and apparently liked to draw pictures of Superman's girlfriend, Lois Lane.
Always wearing those pantsuits and high heels and looking fresh to death.
Oh, yeah.
As no surprise, Lois Lane was drawn naked and generally wearing high heels.
Hell yeah.
This is the part where I couldn't quit laughing about Golden Child Larry is making his own porno.
Hell yeah.
I love it.
I love it.
Being that Eileen was staunchly opposed to anything sexual, naturally Larry would try to hide his nudies by keeping them locked up in a box. Jerry, being naturally curious, ended up picking said lock.
Yeah, don't get a lockbox. The kids are always going to get
It's
in.
too obvious.
Yeah.
It's too obvious. Well, Larry then got to enjoy the sight of all these naked girls. And it just so happened that Eileen busted Jerry with Larry's pictures, and Jerry would have to face the punishment that followed. To Jerry's credit, though, he did not even attempt to rat out Larry.
Stand up, brother.
It's a good brother
Stand up,
right
brother.
there. Not that they would have believed Larry was capable of being involved in such deviant behavior anyway.
Yeah, maybe not so much stand up and more so this will get this over quicker if I just take the blame for it.
Yeah.
They're not going to believe. I mean, yeah, poor Jerry.
He knows where he stands.
Now, when Jerry reached the grand old age of 16, he had woke up one morning after noticing there was something gooey on his bed sheets.
Oh, no, the dog was drooling.
Hold on. A nocturnal emission, or sex dream, or nightfall, or sleep orgasm.
Nightfall.
I was looking up all these terms for this. Apparently, that's one of them. A
Sleep
nightfall.
orgasm.
Yeah.
That's not as romantic as a nightfall.
Obviously, we know the most common term, a wet dream.
Never
Yes.
had one.
Neither have I.
I don't think any of us have.
So we
Poor
all
Jerry.
started baiting at the right time.
Yep. I think they're just made up.
I could see it for Jerry because, boy, he's got to be back the hell up.
Oh, yes.
He doesn't know anything about sex. He doesn't know why high heels make his weenie stiff as a rod.
I was going to say, I don't think he even knows what an erection is. So like,
it's funny
why
you
me hard?
It's funny you mention that because the wet dreams are gonna come back in a second here.
Okay.
Now, as we know, this is completely natural, unless you're Jordan. But Eileen didn't share that same view. When she found the stained sheets, she lost her shit and tore into Jerry. She would force him to clean his own sheets by hand and then force him to sleep without any bedding.
On a 1950s gross mattress,
Right.
I'm sure.
It's probably got like straw poking through it and
Yuck.
stuff.
It's probably got springs popping out of it. Not
They're moving
great.
all the time. It can't be a quality mattress.
But think about this. Like, you had a wet dream that's embarrassing enough, I would assume, and your mother is punishing you for having one. That's got to be that's got to fuck your psyche
Oh,
up
yeah.
there.
there's no question.
After this, according to Jerry, he started to create bizarre fantasies of getting revenge. Jerry apparently worked for days on end, digging a hidden tunnel on the side of a hill that was located near the farm. His fantasy was to abduct a girl and force her to stay in the tunnel.
There we go.
In his mind, he could just force her to do anything he wanted.
There we go.
Now, apparently, at the age of 16, Jerry still didn't fully understand how sexual intercourse worked.
Oh, God.
But he did know that the thought of a captive woman begging for mercy sexually excited him.
Charles Ng and Leonard Lake, just
Right
like
there.
you said.
It's like he doesn't understand sex, like you say. He doesn't understand why he likes the heels, and he doesn't understand why he likes the thought of women begging for their
They're
life
all
or
different
whatever.
cities connected in his head,
Yeah.
corrected like by a strange highway, and he can't connect any of it.
It's very strange.
Like he just needs to build one bridge.
BuildAbridgia.com.
How about this? Let's just have even minor sexual education in schools. That's all we need right
there you go.
here.
Be like, penis goes in vagina.
Now, on top of just the secret tunnel, Jerry started to do something he would end up doing for the rest of his life, and that was stealing underwear, bras, and shoes from his neighbors.
That's from Animal House.
Is it?
Well,
Panty raid.
Is
Yeah.
Animal House actually a documentary about Jerry Brudos?
Jim Belushi
It
was.
really is.
Or John
It really
Belushi.
is.
Which one was it?
John.
Yeah, he's dead. R.I.P.
Because Jim
Coke
had that
overdose.
amazing show, according to Jim.
Oh, God. Stop.
Oh,
No, anyway, he would take these and enjoy them at his own leisure, obviously.
yes.
Again, the family packed up and moved to another farm located in Corvallis, Oregon.
Yeah, I've heard of Corvallis. There's some
I-
strange cryptid shit in Corvallis.
Really?
Yep.
Ooh.
Okay, maybe we need to look into that. Now, Jerry would be around 17 years old at this point, and his brother Larry was attending college at Oregon State University, studying
Go Ducks.
electronics.
Are they the Ducks? OSU?
No, that's just Oregon.
Oh.
Is that Oregon? Okay, well, I'm sure
can't
Oregon
remember what
State's
OSU
okay.
is.
I'm sure it's fine.
They're
I'm
oh,
sure it's fine.
I think they have some kind of real goofy mascot, if I remember right.
Is it a stoner?
No, I think
It's
It's
just
like-
a doper.
no. There's some school where it's like the celery stalks or just
Oh, boy.
Ooh,
not
I like
that,
that
but it's
one.
something ridiculous, and it might be them.
The shit on a log. What do they call that?
Ants on a log?
Hands on a log. I feel like my mom used
Were
to
you
call it
thinking of
shit on,
I
shit
could
on
see
a
it.
stick.
Oh, shit on a shingle is like the chipped
Yeah.
beef on toast.
Yeah, that shit is actually amazing.
It
Anyway,
really is.
while in Corvallis, Jerry continued to steal shoes and garments from his neighbors and then returned to his room to fondle them and, of course, masturbate while caressing them.
Yeah.
Interestingly, Jerry could not achieve an orgasm by doing this. In fact, the only time he had ever had an orgasm was during the wet dream he had a year prior.
Whoa.
Oof.
That is not a good sign.
He's living a life of edging.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Yes.
The life of blue balls. Oof.
In Oregon State is the Beavers.
Okay. Okay.
Yes, I should know that. I
Yeah.
feel like the Vikings drafted someone from there. I feel I could be wrong. I don't know. Anyway. But there was one thing Jerry really wanted outside of his collection of clothes, and that was to see a real-life girl naked.
Yes. That's what all of us want in
I mean,
life.
there's probably a strip club.
He's
That's not-
17.
yeah, he can't
He's
get in.
17.
This is the
Come on.
50s. You could sign up
Yeah.
for more at 12. I think you could be like, I just want to see some titties, mister. And they let you in.
Yeah. All right, kid. 5 minutes. Keep your hands out of your pocket.
So in the summer of 1955, he had snuck into the bedroom of an 18-year-old girl and, of course, stolen her clothing. But Jerry decided to hatch an overly complicated plan to see this girl naked.
I would love to see how he fucks this thing up.
Oh my God, it's insane. So he started by approaching the girl and informed her that he could help her get her missing clothing back.
Oh,
He claimed he was actually working with the police on this case of missing clothing.
Whoa.
Obviously, the girl was apprehensive at first, but figured since Jerry was nothing more than a young red-haired doughboy, he didn't pose much of a threat. So Jerry said, "Come over to my house at night and I'll help you get your clothing back." Obviously, Jerry did this when neither his mother or father were home, and Larry's obviously at college.
I
Yes,
feel like
Larry's
his
with the
dad
Beavers.
wouldn't have cared if he was home.
Oh, Henry wouldn't have gave a shit.
No.
Well, when the night in question came, he heard a knock at the door, and Jerry yelled.
Up here. Come up here.
So she made her way up the dark stairwell of the farmhouse. When she reached Jerry's room, he was nowhere to be found, but suddenly a tall figure wearing a mask popped out wielding a large knife and said,
Take off your clothes or I'll cut you. Do it.
He then pressed the knife against her throat. Obviously, the girl was terrified and began to remove her clothing. Now, she knew this entire time it was Jerry,
Of course.
but because he had a knife, and she did as he had asked. Now naked, the masked man pulled out a cheap camera and made her pose for pictures. Lots of pictures in all sorts of positions. After he was finished, he told her to turn around, and the masked man ran out of the room. Now, the girl frantically put her clothes back on and was getting ready to run out, when all of a sudden, Jerry came running into the room, breathing heavily, and said,
Hey, are you okay? I was on the bar and somebody came along. I couldn't see who it was. He locked me in. I just managed to break out. Did you see anyone around here?
"Oh, this guy is such a fucking idiot. God, he is such a fucking moron." She just shook her fucking head and ran the fuck out of there. Now, in Jerry's mind, he had just pulled off the perfect crime.
Smooth. He's so smooth.
Yeah.
But she knew it was him, obviously. It just seems like she never reported him to the police. Later, she would say,
I knew who it was at the time. I wasn't fooled by that mask and his phony story about being locked in the barn, but I was afraid of him. I was scared if I told, he would find out and he would kill me.
I mean, to be honest, we have to, that is true.
Yeah.
He's got a fucking
Yeah.
knife.
You got a
Who
knife to your
knows?
throat. You're going to do
The
whatever
mask-
the fuck they say.
The mask was worthless because she went to his house. So it's like, just hold a knife to her throat and tell her to get naked.
I
You don't
mean-
need to put on a charade.
I'm assuming the mask with his, like, chubby cheeks and his red hair probably sticking out of the top
Yeah, it's
of
Bozo
it.
the Clown
I
hair.
want to know what kind of mask it was.
I assume a ski mask, right? I mean, I don't know.
Did they have those back then?
Oh, yeah, I'm sure they did. Anyway, when Jerry finally got said pictures developed, he got to enjoy finally seeing a real naked woman. Jerry said this about his first impression of seeing a naked woman.
She looked awful funny.
Apparently, he didn't like it as much as he thought.
Well, hey, the first vagina, the first vagina,
Yeah.
you can be like, when you see it in a picture, you can be like, what the hell's going on?
Oh, that's true.
What
Yeah.
the hell's going on there?
Well, apparently Larry didn't draw a vagina on Lois Lane.
Just tits and heels.
What if Larry ended up drawing, like, tits on her and just a big dick on Lois Lane? Which is fine. Maybe
for it.
Larry's
Maybe his name's
questioning it.
Lewis Lane. Who knows?
It's the Miley Cyrus of porn. You get the best of both worlds.
There you go.
After about 8 months of enjoying the pictures he had taken, he got bored of them and decided he needed to get some new ones. He needed a new captive. Now, as you can probably tell, Jerry had struggled in the normal part of dating as a teenager. Jerry was a big, oafy young man, and he suffered from severe teenage acne, or acne vulgaris, as his doctor called it. That is brutal.
I bet they
Jesus.
changed the name since then.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that is so brutal. Oh my god.
Now
Can
it's
you imagine?
severe eczema.
There you go. Acne vulgaris.
Can you
You're
imagine
so
going to
fucking
the
vulgar.
doctor? So that is so mean.
You're
You got vulgar
repulsive.
pimples, you
Oh.
piece of shit.
Your pimples are offending me, young
Go
man.
scrub
Get out
with
of here.
steel wool and ether.
As I'm watching Great British Bake Off, shredded coconut has a strange name over there.
Oh,
Desiccated coconut.
okay.
Like,
I
whoa.
like it.
You know,
That's a bit
we're
extreme.
going to get into this in between the bumbles, because I'm pretty sure I've talked about the Great British Baking Show
Ooh.
before.
It's a good one. It's a good one.
All right. When Jerry got nervous, he would often turn ripe as a red cherry. He would duck his head, and his voice would begin to crack like a prepubescent boy. Needless to say, Jerry was about as awkward as they come. In April of 1956, Jerry had found his new captive. Jerry had approached a 17-year-old girl and had managed to talk her into getting into his car.
Hey, right there. He knows how to spit game. So, like, he can get a date if he wants to.
Yeah, Kemper could too, though. So it's like, what? It's like, how? How? Are girls just more trusting?
Let me tell you this, Jordan, is this game. Now, Jerry almost immediately started talking like the two of them were on a date.
Yep, that's where you go wrong.
But the girl was like, I only agreed to a short ride, dude. Jerry continued to drive further and further into the middle of nowhere until he finally reached a driveway leading to a deserted farmhouse. Nobody is around for miles. Jerry then immediately dragged the girl from the car and began to beat her. He was punching her face and her breasts. She was screaming as loud as she could, but nobody was around to hear. Jerry was tugging at her clothing and demanding that she get naked, but she was fighting back and trying to get away from him, all while he continued to pummel her. Thankfully, a couple from the farm down the road just so happened to be driving by and noticed the car parked in the driveway of the desolate farmhouse.
Nice.
Noticing Jerry had been spotted, he told the people who had stopped.
She fell out of the car. She's just hysterical because it scared her.
Terrible excuse here.
Yeah.
Obviously, with the girl being covered in blood, they weren't buying this horse shit. Jerry then said,
Well, actually, what happened was that some weirdo attacked her. I came driving by and stopped to help. She was fighting him off when I came up, and he took off through the fields over there.
this guy, he's got these excuses just like...
He was wearing a mask. He had red hair.
Yeah. Did you say, I feel like this is an excuse you'd hear on Scooby-Doo.
God.
Like, it was that guy, goddammit.
Old man Jenkins.
I would have gotten away with seeing some boobies if it wasn't for you meddling neighbors.
Obviously, at this point, the Oregon State Police were contacted.
Good.
And
They have the beavers coming in.
And strangely enough, when the police arrived, Jerry openly admitted that he was the one who had beaten the girl. He claimed that he wanted to scare her enough to take off her clothes so he could take pictures of her. When the police searched his car, they found the camera and determined that this was, in fact, a premeditated attack.
Perfect.
Now, the girl was taken to the hospital and treated for extensive bruising and a badly broken nose. So he was hitting her a lot.
He was swinging at her face for sure.
Yeah, I don't, this guy's fucked up. Anyway, the investigators would then search through Jerry's room at home and quickly found all of his stolen lady garments and the pictures of the naked girl.
That is not going to make Eileen happy. If I know
Not at
anything
all.
about Eileen, and I think I do, that's not going to make her thrilled.
Here's the question. How is he hiding like a treasure chest full of women's garments from her? Where is he putting them?
Maybe he was able to like pull up some floorboards and put them in the floor
put 'em in there.
joists.
I guess.
You would think with a mother like this, like she would be searching his room.
Yes. Oh, I don't know how he's hiding them. Anyway, Jerry told them that he did not take those pictures. He only developed them for another boy.
What a bitch.
Jerry said,
I had to. He said he'd beat me up if I didn't.
what a little bitch. Oh my God. Also, the police located the girl in the pictures. And she promptly told them what Jerry had done to her.
Amazing.
So, either way, Jerry was arrested for assault and battery and taken to Polk County Juvenile Department.
Is there a Polk County in every state?
I
think so.
Yeah,
I think so.
Because
like
that's the
there's-
county I grew up in Wisconsin. I always see Iowa plates with Polk County on them.
Oh, yeah, I know where Polk County is. I know where Polk County is. We'll have to ask Ashley if she knows. I know where Polk County is.
She probably knows where Polk County, Texas is.
Now, because of all the charges, Jerry would be committed to the Oregon State Hospital for evaluation and treated in the spring of 1956. When the psychiatrist began to interview him, Jerry told them that he liked sports, but he didn't like the rough competition that came with sports. Jerry said...
I don't like to fight or to push people around or be pushed around, so I don't go out for any of the teams.
What a little bitch. Jerry's hobbies included radios, electronics, mechanics, and of course, photography.
I mean, that's all fine and
He's
good.
Donatello.
This is not going to get you laid in 1956. Maybe it will. I don't know. What do you think?
Well, Donatello, I don't think he could ever get laid.
Yeah,
I'm pretty
true.
sure all the three others were banging in April, but
Yeah.
Nah, Donatello, he's too smart.
He loves machines. He does machines.
Maybe he had like one of those weird anime real dolls that was taking care of him. Could be. Jerry also belonged to 4-H,
You and me both, buddy.
Boy Scouts,
Nope.
and the Farmers Union.
Hell yeah.
You didn't
I
belong
wonder
to that,
how
Jordan?
similar the Farmers Union is to FFA.
The union.
I bet they probably
The
changed
Future
the name
Farmers of
it.
America.
Yeah. Oh, I
They
bet
probably
that's
changed
it.
the name.
Yeah.
I bet it is. Anyway, after the barrage of tests, Jerry Brudos' diagnosis was...
Adjustment reaction of adolescents with sexual deviation.
I think they nailed it.
Yeah.
That's perfect.
Exactly what he is. Now, Jerry wasn't a full-time patient at the mental hospital. He would go through his full day at North Salem High School and then seem to return to the hospital at night, like a work release almost. As time passed, they apparently released a second diagnosis for Jerry, which was
borderline schizophrenic reaction.
This was the catch-all phrase for mental patients in the 50s.
Sure. So, like, at that point, they could just do whatever. They could cook your brain with electricity or give you
They couldn't quite diagnose him with his apples.
No, I assume, like, let's say one of us goes in there and say, hey, we're depressed or something, and be like, you have borderline schizophrenic reaction.
You're going to have to stay here now.
Here's some lithium, buddy. No, after about 8 or 9 months of his stay at the mental hospital, they believed Jerry was fit to go back into the normal world. But both Eileen and Henry were adamant that they did not want Jerry to be released from the hospital's care until he was fully cured of whatever ailed him.
No, Eileen was adamant. Henry just followed along with what she said.
Nodding his head.
Exactly.
Yep. This is the way I'm getting laid tonight. Yep.
That's right, honey.
But Jerry needed some place to go, so he would have to be returned to his parents. So he returned to the new family farm located in Dallas, Oregon.
Dallas, Oregon.
I looked this up because it just said Dallas. I'm like, is there actually a Dallas, Oregon? I can't imagine him going to Texas.
No.
There certainly is a Dallas, Oregon, so shout out to you guys. Anyway.
Perfect. Good job, Dallas. Shout out.
And to say the least, his parents weren't in the least bit excited to see him again. Of course, Larry is at college being all successful and probably jerking it to Lois Lane hentai.
Certainly.
But old Jerry was a good-for-nothing son that just caused trouble. But things were about to turn around for Jerry, at least for a little while.
Ooh.
Jerry would successfully graduate high school, coming in 142nd out of a class of 202. His GPA was 2.1 with an average grade of about a C.
C's get degrees, baby.
Right.
But what is important is Jerry had taken audiovisual and stagecraft courses for his electives. His ultimate goal was to obtain an FCC license and become employed at a radio or television station.
He's 50 years too early. He could have just done all what we do now, and he would have been fine.
Now,
you don't need no FCC license to be a podcast.
He could have hosted the half-assed morning show.
Well, that's not what he wants. He presumably wanted to work in the electronics part of a radio or television station.
What a loser.
He wants to be behind the scenes.
What an AV club loser.
He was very naturally gifted at it. Someone who knew him later in life described his skills with electronics as brilliant, but in the same sentence used the word lazy. So,
yeah.
very good. He's very lazy.
That's how that works.
Jerry was also skilled with electrical wiring and a pretty good backyard mechanic. To be honest, in the 50s, car engines were about as basic as you can come, so anybody is a backyard mechanic.
Truth. They were made that way.
Yeah.
I need
so
to replace
easy.
a piston. Okay, take off these 2 screws and just pull it out and put a new one in, basically.
I want Jerry Brudos to do an oil change on like a fucking Lamborghini or something.
Oh, God.
He ain't doing it.
Well,
he ain't doing it.
For the Lambos, don't you have to like take out the engine to do the oil change?
I'm sure you
No,
do.
I think you have to take off like a skid plate on the bottom.
I mean,
and a
I have
bunch
to
of
do
other
that
shit.
on my car, to be fair.
I've watched a video of Lamborghinis getting their oil changed, and it's a process.
So
and
you're
it's
saying-
like their oil change bays where they do them at like the dealerships or whatever are like bright white and spotless. Like they don't spill anything.
Sure.
After high school, he would enroll in a flurry of different schools, which included Oregon State University,
Go Beavers.
Salem Technical Vocational School. Do you know their
Go
mascot?
Witches.
Go, yeah.
and various other schools, but always ended up with him either dropping out or just flat out quitting. But like many other serial killers, on March 9th, 1959, Jerry joined the United States Army.
Hell yeah. The few, the proud, the Army.
Why do they always seem to join the military? There's a lot of them that
It's
do.
an easy paycheck back in that day.
They probably think they're going to get skills on training or on killing and stuff like that.
And Jerry would first be dispatched to Fort Ord, I think it's Ord, in California, and then sent off to Fort Gordon for basic and advanced training in the Signal Corps. Isn't that like a respected... Signal Corps. Isn't that respected in the military?
Well, I think every company has a Signal Corps, or
Oh,
every
do
unit.
they?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's like the radios and stuff.
Ah.
He's doing comms.
Jerry would eventually achieve the rank of E2. I don't know what that is. Do you
I
know,
know
I'm pretty
Jordan?
sure that's private first class.
Okay, well...
Because
Good
I
job,
think
Jerry.
E1 is private.
Okay, well, look,
You
did
graduate.
something.
You
did
graduate
something.
basic training and you become E2.
Okay. I have a feeling Phil's going to fill me in here. With Jerry's skill and interest in communication and electronics, he probably would have flourished in the army, but his dark desires eventually just reared its ugly head. Jerry became convinced that a Korean girl had came into his barracks one night and crawled into his bunk and tried to seduce him. Jerry said,
I didn't want her, and I came up fighting and beat her badly.
Hold on now, hold on. The weird thing is, this was just a constant, reoccurring nightmare Jerry continued to have over and over and over. I don't know why.
That's
it's a
insane.
Korean girl or whatever. I don't know. It's very strange. Interestingly enough, Jerry went to seek the advice from the Army chaplain, who then referred him to Captain Theodore J. Barry, the staff psychiatrist. After Captain Barry learned the extent of Jerry's bizarre dreams and obsessions, he determined that he was unfit to serve under AR 635-208. So on October 15th, 1959, Jerry was officially discharged and was left feeling extremely disappointed, having been tossed out over what he claimed was such a minor thing.
I assume AR 635-208 is like the...
Probably a mental health
Yeah.
something
Sure.
in
Okay.
there.
That'd be my
That's what I
guess.
would assume.
He's getting booted for being kooky.
Yes. So now, being 20 years old, Jerry returned to Corvallis, Oregon to live with his parents once again. Now, initially, Jerry was able to live in the upstairs bedroom, at least until that goddamn Larry needed to move back
Fucking
home.
Larry.
What does the fucking scientist, the golden boy god, need to move back in with mommy for? Get an
Spring
apartment.
break or something. I don't know. So they told Jerry he would have to give up his room in favor of Larry, and then they forced Jerry to move his bedroom into a shed located on the property.
I mean, that's not that bad. It's kind of like a
That's
little.
fucked. That
I
is
mean,
fucked
but
up.
it's like his own little house. You know, tiny houses.
Think about
He was
this,
ahead of the time.
This is a 1950s farm, Jordan. It probably had chicken shit still on the fucking floor.
No question.
This isn't a hobby farm with a nice barn on it. This is a shitty shed, dude. That's fucked.
That's fucked.
Now, after these few events, it seems Jerry's behavior was about to escalate a step further. One evening, not long after having moved back home, Jerry had traveled to Salem to run an errand. All of a sudden, he spotted an attractive young woman walking near the telephone office. She was wearing a bright red outfit and, of course, high heels.
Ugh.
Jerry
what
just
a debutante.
Jerry just couldn't keep his eyes off of her. Jerry continued to follow her until she reached her apartment. She was completely unaware that he was behind her.
I bet he was hard as a rock thinking about it, too.
When the young lady began to enter the doorway leading into the apartment, she was grabbed and choked out until she fell to the floor in a semi-conscious state. Jerry just stared at her, debating what he wanted to do next. But he just stole her shoes and ran off into the darkness. Shortly after the first attack, he did almost the exact same thing. in
Escalating,
Portland.
though. Yeah.
Right. This is like this guy in escalation, like this is the textbook shit here.
All right, yeah.
Stalking a young woman wearing those sexy high heels. This time, though, the woman fought back, and Jerry was only able to steal one of her shoes.
He can only bust half a nut.
But it didn't matter. He would just return to his shed/bedroom to enjoy the little treasures he had stolen from these women.
Escalation, trophies, it's just,
Yeah.
they might as well have written it all about him.
Here's the interesting thing. So we mentioned when he was 17, 18, he had only accomplished orgasm one time. And
Wet dream.
he couldn't actually come with the shoes. I wonder if it's changed at this point. We don't really know. We don't know. But Jerry did accomplish one good thing. He finally obtained his FCC license.
Hell yeah.
And had managed to land a job as an operating engineer for the Corvallis radio station, bro.
Hell yeah. I can screw in all the new wires and speakers.
Which, given his life up to this point, is fairly impressive to land a skilled job not many people would have qualified for. So, what is the next step for a man like Jerry? Well, to find a lady who would put up with him.
Yeah, he's going to try and put down roots, huh?
Attaboy.
How he meets his lady is so weird. Now, this will come as no surprise, but Jerry had an underlying disdain for women.
No shit.
Had zero interaction with them up to this point, outside of with violence, and least shocking of all, being a 23-year-old man was still a virgin. But his luck was about to change, and also nothing wrong with being a 23-year-old virgin.
Yeah, no. Have sex when you're ready.
Correct. Now, while working at the radio station, there was a young kid who would decide to hang around, ask questions, and generally just bug Jerry. For some reason, Jerry decided to ask this young boy if he knew any girls that Jerry could date. Don't know. Don't know.
All right.
Okay.
And wouldn't you believe it? The boy knew 17-year-old Darcy Metzler. Now, Darcy was a very pretty young lady with big eyes and thick dark hair. She was known to be shy and quiet, but still was never unpopular with the other boys.
Sure.
She frequently dated boys who generally are considered good looking. That's her quote, by the way.
Yeah.
Which was pretty much the exact opposite of Jerry Brudos. Now, because Darcy's father was such an authoritarian, she wanted some way to get away from her family, and Jerry might just be her ticket.
23 years old. Yeah.
She's 17. She wanted
That'll
to get
do
the
it.
hell away from him.
That'll do it.
When the young boy first brought Jerry to Darcy's house, Darcy was not impressed. Jerry was wearing his paint-stained clothing and made no attempt to clean himself up. He had thinning blonde red hair with a healthy double chin and apparently not someone Darcy would generally go out with. But Jerry knew the way to her heart. Darcy said,
I probably wouldn't have accepted a date with him at all, except that he asked me to go swimming, and I love to swim.
Hell yeah.
He was full of fun and full of jokes. I was so shy that I couldn't even get up in school to recite or answer questions, and he seemed so confident.
doesn't sound like the Jerry Brudos we know up to this point.
No.
It was really strange. Darcy was the only woman that Jerry didn't seem to be intimidated by, and he treated her really well, at first at least. He pulled out her chair, opened doors for her, bought her small gifts and flowers. Absolute gentleman.
White Knight.
Now, what else would help Darcy jump head first into Jerry's arms? The fact that both of her parents hated Jerry.
Oh.
You ever seen the documentary film Pineapple Express?
I
Yes.
have,
This
yes.
reminds me of the girl that Seth Rogen's dating.
Absolutely, 100%. 100%. The first tinge of bad behavior with Jerry was he was extremely jealous. But Darcy just interpreted it as him showing his true affection for her. She felt a little protected by his possessiveness.
Classic abusive relationship thing.
Yeah.
Again, it's like the early 60s, so I don't know, maybe it's a lot different than now. You know, we know this isn't healthy behavior, but I don't know. It's hard to say. Anyway, now in 1962, it seemed the couple decided, why not tie the knot?
Let's do it.
Darcy said,
While my home life was a good one, there was this feeling that getting married would be much better than listening to your parents.
Now I can be the parents.
Jerry said,
I wanted someone to sleep with, and she wanted out of her home.
always a romantic there,
Wow.
Jerome.
What a-
Always a romantic. And so Darcy would be the lucky woman to take Jerry's precious bee card.
Woo! Boy getting his dick wet.
Now, an interesting thing was that Jerry never once brought his weird fetishes into their sex life. Darcy always claimed they had a completely normal sex life, but deep down, Jerry was still harboring his deep hatred for women and his need to complete his dark sexual desires, but wouldn't surface for quite a while yet. Now, we're not certain if their families actually knew, but prior to their marriage, Darcy was actually pregnant.
Whoa.
She claimed not a shotgun marriage. She said that not a shotgun marriage. Soon after they would give birth to their first child, a little baby girl, they would name Megan. Darcy and Jerry were just a little happy family for the first few years anyway, and it was fairly normal.
Sure.
Jerry had found plenty of jobs and was working constantly, making decent money. There was only one problem. He just never seemed to be able to keep any one job for too long. But he did spend a great deal of money on presents for Darcy's birthdays, holidays, and anniversaries, as well as continuing to be the complete gentleman that she had fallen in love with.
So what this seems like a little bit is that his, oh man, I hate to use this phrase, but his dark passenger is kind of on vacation a little bit,
yeah.
right? And he's like trying to put on a fake mask to the world that he's the family man.
In part two, his first trigger that leads him to murdering, we're gonna see the second he does that like dark thing is just like full. Once he accomplishes what he wants to, it like hides and then resurfaces. So.
That's fucking gosh.
Yeah.
He is a textbook case of this thing.
He is. Now, as I mentioned, the first few years were fairly normal. Jerry still did some weird things. Firstly, whenever Darcy did or said something that Jerry didn't like, he became, quote, depressed and sad. And when Jerry got depressed and sad, he would go out around his neighborhood and steal women's undergarments and shoes to make himself feel better. Of course, Darcy had zero clue this was going on.
What a fucking dumb baby. What
Yeah.
a big dumb baby.
You know,
Yep.
it's like he's making her feel bad.
That's gaslighting.
Yes, exactly. That's exactly what he's doing. The second thing was when Jerry and Darcy were home together. Jerry wanted them to be constantly naked and run around without clothes on at all hours of the day.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not bad. At least until Megan got old enough to understand what was going on, and then Darcy refused to be naked all of the time.
Yeah, then you're just crossing weird boundaries.
Thirdly, Jerry was constantly wanting to take pictures of Darcy naked and having her pose in certain ways for him, such as having her ride Megan's tricycle while naked with her butt hanging over the little seat and her breasts resting on the handlebars.
All right.
Or having Darcy pose naked on the floor with a nylon pulled over her face. Or having Darcy wear nothing but spike-heeled black patent leather shoes.
I've seen a lot of calendars of ladies wearing exactly that.
Hey, Snap-on would have loved Darcy right now.
Oh,
yeah.
And Mac Tools. Now,
And whoever makes tricycles. Fisher Price.
Tyke.
Yeah,
Yeah, Tyke.
Little Tyke.
Can you imagine that's on the box? Just her naked with her tits on the handlebars.
Like, how
with
did
her
this
ass
make it to
hanging out?
Target shelves?
Be a hot seller with dads. I'll tell you that.
Oh, yeah.
Now, oddly enough, Darcy didn't mind the pictures that Jerry was taking in black and white because her face was kind of obscured. But those damn colored pictures she did not like at all. But Jerry had an answer for that. Jerry said,
Darcy, they look at the first or the last, and that's all.
meaning that if the first and last pictures were nothing special, the person developing the film would not notice the naked pictures in between.
I feel like that's a lie.
It's a huge lie.
Absolutely.
I know somebody that did digital prints, worked in a digital print factory, and yeah, if they got like photographers that would take nudes or boudoir pictures, they would email them around, be like, "Oh, got another good one here for
Oh,
developing."
Jesus.
Well, think about this. 1962 or 3, like how much they can get their hands on porn. So the photo kids are going to love this shit.
There's
dude.
no. I'd be looking through every fucking roll of every film I ever got.
Think, is that a bare kneecap? Oh my god. The fourth thing was Jerry wanted Darcy to wear high heels at all time, no matter what she was doing, but they would eventually make her back hurt, and she had a bum knee.
And they're not good for you.
Yeah, and that would make her knee fucking flare up. But because Jerry would get depressed, Darcy just constantly appeased his wishes. The final thing was that Jerry showed little or no interest in their daughter, Megan. If Megan had crawled or walked to Jerry, he would just push her away from himself. He never seemed to want to have anything to do with his child. Literally, the one incident that Darcy later recalled of them being close was the one time Jerry took Megan out and fed the ducks together.
Aw.
That's the only incident she can remember them two liking each other. Or him liking her, I should say. Now, Jerry seemed to like to move around constantly, just like his parents. Over the span of 7 years, they would move to 20 or more different locations.
Oh,
I'd rather start a shotgun.
how the fuck? No way. I don't want to pack and move 20 times
That's
yeah.
insane.
in my life.
I don't even want to do it in a year.
Ugh.
That's fucking insane. Jerry would lose his job, get another one, and they would have to pack up and move
Fuck that.
from Corvallis to Portland to Salem. Now, for a little example of what Jerry was like at work, he was working as a technician for an electronics firm in West Salem. Now, he was friendly with his boss, and his boss said he was literally the best electronically minded person he had ever met.
Tech whiz.
Honestly, Jerry could have advanced within the company, but just seemed to meander and never actually apply himself. His boss said this.
With his first-class SAC license, he could have run any television or radio station in the country.
Damn.
But his only ambition was to read, and study, and that was the end for him. He always carried a bound portfolio with him, filled with letters of recommendation. Each letter was encased in plastic, and he was really proud of those things. They were from college professors and elections experts, character references. He must have shown them to me 4 or 5 times. He wanted people to think he was important.
We all know this guy. Now, after randomly leaving this particular job, he returned about a year later and informed everyone that the reason he wasn't running a radio station yet was because he had actually enlisted in the Navy and was injured in an explosion of a shell while aboard the ship.
God damn it, Jerry.
This explosion had actually killed 2 of his buddies, and he himself had spent the last year in a naval hospital. And because of these injuries, and because his injuries were so severe, he became eligible for a service pension.
This is interesting. This is interesting because he's got a history of this, including going back to his teacher and explaining. I think that's part of his thing. He doesn't want to leave unopened or like unanswered questions.
Well, my thing was he seems to always want to over-aggrandize his life.
Yeah.
It's not just like, I'm actually just kind of lazy and I quit your job. It's like, no, I had this adventure. That's why I'm not accomplishing what I should be. Anyway, it is 1967 at this point. Jerry and Darcy had been married for a few years, living fairly happily, even if Jerry isn't very fond of his daughter Megan. But there is about to be an event which for most is considered to be a happy time in their lives that is about to spiral Jerry into entering the dark, twisted desires he's been harboring. And that is the end of part 1.
Let's go.
Part 2 is going to be all his very
Gross,
fucked up
yeah.
activities.
Oh, I
yeah.
cannot wait.
I don't think he's as bad as Ed Kemper, but he's I don't know, him and Ed have a very weird, like, they want to possess the body. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Like, they want the ladies, they want their body and their possession, their corpse, whatever. I don't know, it's fucked up. But yes, Jerry is quite he could be a bumblebutt himself too, I think. a little
I
bit.
definitely think he is.
He's a Gomer pile.
I'm super glad he has no interest in his daughter. That makes me happy.
It's funny because, well, I'm not going to spoil it now, but part 2, you're going to be in for a surprise, I think.
Okay.
Okay. He doesn't molest anybody,
Good.
his daughter.
Well, thank
nothing. I
God.
promise no child molestation.
Good.
I promise none of that.
All right. Well, Cody, fantastic with
Hell
part
yeah.
one
You.
of our second Big Boy.
Mm.
Good job. Very
you.
good job.
Yes.
If you thought it was a good job too, you can email us, bumblebuttpodcast@gmail.com.
What's that, Adam?
bumblebuttpodcast@gmail.com. As always, follow us on Twitter and at bumblebuttpod, and Facebook and Instagram at bumblebuttpodcast. Now it's time for the most important part of the show, at least if you ask Cody, the iTunes reviews.
I don't think we actually got any new ones.
All right.
Sons of bitches.
Unfortunately,
We were supposed to be getting one.
Yes, we were. You know what? I don't. It seems like Apple's all wonky right now. If
I
I'm
gotta
being
check.
honest.
I'll check that Chartable one too,
Okay.
because if it's Canada, I think she's in Canada.
Okay,
might be an
that's probably the
international
problem
review.
then.
Yeah.
We'll have to find. You can look at all of them on there, right?
I don't know. I don't understand that website. Sometimes it tells me that we're charting in India, and then it gives me no other information.
It's
So I
kind
don't
of
know.
it's kind of like a heartbreaker app.
It is.
It
is.
brings you up and then brings you down. You
And
never know.
it's all depends on how it's feeling. So we got no iTunes reviews. Leave us one. That would
Please
be
do.
excellent.
Please do.
Downloads are looking good though, so we're doing
I
fine.
was gonna say, like, from both my podcast and I think the Creeper Real Girls, you can see people are returning to work and like they're listening to podcasts
Mm-hmm.
again. You can just see it. It's so weird to me. It's so weird you can see it. But
I love it. Keep
yeah,
going to work.
absolutely.
Keep driving.
Absolutely.
I'll stay home for you. All right, so I think that'll do it for all of us. We talked about the Patreon at the top of the show.
Right.
Buy a shirt.
Right.
Please do email me or
Buy a fucking
message
shirt.
us. Message one of us. Please do. We got plenty of them.
We got shirts.
Message Cody.
Message Cody,
Yes,
actually. Yeah,
yes,
definitely.
Yes.
So I think that's going to do it for all of us here at the Mobile Podcast. My name has been Adam. Thank you very much. That has been Cody. Thank you, Cody.
Thank you, Adam.
That has been Jordan. Thank you, Jordan.
Thank you, Adam.
All right, everybody. I want you all to have fun and enjoy yourselves and have a nice week, unless it's Tuesday.
Cody fucked this up last week like a goddamn
Yes, I
dipshit.
did. I didn't know what to say.
Shut the fuck up while I whisper my outro.